Hi everyone, I'm Athena Ali, the Get Noticed coach, career strategist and coach. Welcome to my live broadcast today on the 5 smart questions to ask at the end of an interview. Now, before I start today, in the spirit of reconciliation, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. I pay respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Welcome. Now, do you ever get stuck on what to ask at the end of an interview? Maybe wondering what's appropriate to ask, or maybe you're not sure what you can ask to make you sound interesting and stand out from the crowd so that you do land the job. Now, in this live, I'll talk about the importance of those questions at the end and some unique ways you can get the information you need, stand out and land the job you want. So, the importance of these questions at the end of the interview. Well, the questions at the end, this opportunity really is for you to get to know the company you want to work for, as well as them getting to know you. So it's really important that if you do have something you want to ask, that you are given the opportunity to ask. But it's also a really good opportunity to be really strategic about what you ask so that you stand out. And I'll go through some of those questions in a moment. So, as I said, what are these 5 smart questions you can ask at the end of an interview? Now, the first type of question you can ask is something that's company specific. So you might want to ask questions around the company itself. You might have read something about them on their website. You might have some queries around the company description in the job description. You might have some questions around that and how that might relate to your role. It may be that the company information you're seeking will be things around your employment as well. So it might be around your terms and conditions and how they relate to what you'll be doing. You can also, the second type of question you can ask could be role specific. So it might be that you have questions around the role itself, perhaps what you might be doing in your first week, or there might be questions where you weren't sure about something about the role and whether something's included or excluded in the role, or maybe you need to seek some clarification. But just asking all these questions is really going to make you look very keen for the role, but is also an opportunity for you to stand out by asking some really great questions. So think about some questions you can ask about the role itself and how you can, especially if it's, a complicated role, you might want to get into some more specifics around the role, what you might be doing in that first week, maybe what's foreseeable in the future for that role as well. The third type of question you can ask is team specific. So more than likely you'll be working with a team of people, whether you're leading them or you'll be led. Either way, you'll be working with a specific team. It might be that you want to ask about the team, what their roles are, who they are. Maybe you want to meet them. So it's super important to understand who the people are going to be around you in your role. They may even be stakeholders that relate to this role, and you might want to know some more information around that. And asking about the people you're going to be working with shows that you really want to collaborate and you want to work with other people, and it's not just about you. The fourth type of question you can ask is a personal type question. And I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to ask people how many, cats they have at home or personal in that sense. Personal, I mean personal to their role at the organisation. So it might be that, you're seated in front of a panel. You might want to ask them questions about how they got to their role or anything that's specific to them. It's really nice I know from being on the other side as a recruiter or hiring manager, it's really nice when somebody asks me a question. So if you can ask some of the panel members' questions about them or their role, or how you might be working with them going forward, that's a really good question to ask, and it gives a bit more of a personal touch to the interview. The fifth type of question you can ask, a smart question you can ask at the end of an interview, is around recent events. So, for example, at the moment, we've got the pandemic. You might want to ask questions around how your role fits in with that recent event. It could be a recent event like, or something that's coming up. Maybe your city is hosting the Olympics and that might affect your role. So talking about recent events shows that you keep up with what's happening around you and that you're keen to know how you can help and how your role helps them, if there is a recent event. So if, for example, at the moment we've got, issues with the pandemic, it might be that you ask about how your role helps with, the community or customers of the organisation in terms of providing service now that we have a pandemic. Maybe you might want to ask them how they've actually adapted to work because of the pandemic. So using a recent event can sometimes create some other conversation around the role that you're interviewing for. So they're my 5 smart questions that you can ask at the end of an interview. Now, of course, if you would like to explore working with me and how I can help you land a role after that interview, impress them so that you knock their socks off and that they only want you for the role, then get in touch with me or respond below. You can book a session with me, an interview with confidence session with me. You can do that at www.thegetnoticedcoach.com/interview-coaching, or as I said, you can send me a message and I can chat to you about that or organise that with you. Now, my interview coaching will include research that I do for you around the role that you're seeking, if you're going for a specific role, or it might be around the industry that you're looking to interview for. You get an hour with me. You will also get an interview skills checklist at the end of that. And also I'll send you a follow-up communication to see how you went. Now, the benefits of doing, basic interview coaching is that, and there's 3 things, is 1, you'll get confidence. Most people who come to me are usually quite nervous and worried about the responses they provide. Perhaps they've been rejected before, and having someone go through an interview with them really helps them to prepare and gives them confidence that they've got all the responses that they need in that interview when they get there. Secondly, it can provide you with consistency. So it provides you with a consistent message wherever you go. We make sure your responses are consistent to your values and that you ask questions that are valuable to you just as well, just as they're valuable to the other side. And also, if you do happen to go for roles in one organisation because you really want to work there, you want to make sure your interview skills are consistent every time you go for an interview at a particular organisation, because you don't want to miss your chance the first time and not be called in the second time. You want to make sure from the outset that you're providing consistent impression and performance at that interview, so that even if they don't choose you for the first role, perhaps they might invite you for something else or be really keen to see you for that second interview. They're not going to invite you back if they didn't get a great first impression the very first time. And the third benefit of having this foundational interview coaching is that it provides you with the certainty that you have done a really good job at interview, but it also provides the other side with certainty, because you'll come out with confidence and they'll be certain that they want you for the job and that you can provide them with the outcomes that you're promising. So don't wait until you have an interview organized. If you can organize, if you are looking for a role now, but you still haven't secured an interview, sometimes it's a great idea to do the interview coaching beforehand, particularly basic foundational interview coaching, because you don't want to be told that you've got an interview in 24 hours and you can't secure a coach for that. I do out of hours appointments for that reason, but sometimes it's not possible. And you want to make sure that you're prepared before you go into an interview with at least foundational interview coaching. So organize that, and then you can always organize a second or a third session if you're going for specific roles, and then we can look at specific questions and answers for specific roles. It's really good to get in interview coaching and know what sorts of questions they're going to ask you, and have a strategy around how do I answer really tricky questions. And that's something that you will go through with me if you do interview coaching with me. So that's the end of my broadcast today. I hope you've now got a good set of questions that you can ask at the end of an interview. And as I said, if you'd like to organise interview coaching with me, you can absolutely do that. The link is down below, or you can DM me or provide a comment at the very end of this broadcast. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I will see you all next week. Bye.